starting this off with laughter. Here we go. So, welcome to our Conversations podcast powered by Jesse and
Shondell Newsome.
There he is. And who's behind the scenes of us coming together about all this?
Oh, man, that beautiful, incredible, smart, intelligent. Let's see, how many adjectives can I use? Lisa.
That's
Lisa
her.
Farrell.
Yeah, she was the catalyst for all of this. So
yeah.
she sees and has seen something in us that we see in one another, but we take it for granted.
Right.
She doesn't.
We're humble to a fault.
Yeah, we need to have a conversation. That's a podcast.
We're humble to a fault.
Humble to a fault.
Yep.
Humble to a fault.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
We know it.
That's
right?
the future podcast.
That is.
So today is why failure is good for success. Why failure is good for success. We're going to talk about this. This is, what is today? August 15th? Okay, or is this the 16th?
No, it's 15.
Okay, August 15th.
Yep.
Episode 10. And let's talk about some talking points here. Before I read any more of this, when you think about that title, why failure is good for success, let's just go a little bit organic before I jump into some structure on this. Why is failure good for success? What's your perspective on that?
I think, it's just like anything else. Like, I use the analogy especially for my youth when I'm teaching them, is it helps you to build. If you have nothing to build off of, then you can't achieve success.
Failure helps you to build.
Yes, failure helps
How?
you to build. Well, it forces you to have a dynamic of, I'm going to try harder. Because if it's just a natural success thing, and I'll give you an example, is most people don't remember this, but Michael Jordan failed at making his high school basketball team, where some of those players, they've never felt adversity, and they may have had even more talent than Michael Jordan. But since they never experienced failure, they had nothing to strive for. So they just kind of coasted, and when they got to the NBA, it was like, I can't reach any further. Michael Jordan always remembered that he did not make his high school team. And remember, when he went to North Carolina, he was on a team with James Worthy, Brad Daugherty, Kenny Smith. He had all these other great players, but he had a hunger that was greater than theirs because they had always had success.
Fair enough. And then when you say he didn't make his high school team, he was younger. It wasn't like he was a junior or senior. I want to say that was probably his sophomore year. I don't know for sure, but I think that's what it was. So we have to put some
But at any rate, he probably felt in his mind
that he deserved to be on the team.
Yes.
I know what that looks like.
Yeah. No. You get cut, man. That's traumatic.
Yeah, it is, especially when the community is all you know.
Yeah.
And so you feel like a failure in that community.
And even more recent, Stephen Curry.
Okay.
Stephen Curry was not touted to be the superstar that he became.
Right.
Because of his size, and remember, his dad was in the NBA.
Sure.
Best friends, matter of fact, Shaquille O'Neal is his godfather.
Okay.
Right? Because Dale Curry and Shaquille are best friends.
Okay.
He was disappointed, and he went and said, I have to work harder. So his dad did some things during the summer which improved his game, his left hand, his right hand, the way he shot the ball, quicker release, all of that. Because he felt like, even though he was at Davidson College,
right,
he felt like he was a failure to some extent because the bigger colleges did not recruit him.
Right. So you're saying that failure being good to success is more than likely an absolute ingredient.
Yes. I would say that.
And do you believe that when people aspire for fame or celebrity or great things or professionalism, do you feel that those that succeed to get to the top levels of their fields or their interests or studies, do you think there's little failure along the way or a lot of failure along the way?
I think it's a lot. I think that those folks are not surprised by failure. I'll say that. I think that they expect adversity, and therefore they prepare themselves mentally and emotionally for adversity.
You know, it's so funny to hear you say that is because it's interesting. You say you don't think they're surprised. Whenever I fail at something, I'm very surprised. Because I go in with an expectation, I'm going to own this.
But
I don't always own it, but I go in there with it, and when I fail, I go, I can't believe it.
Right.
Like, I'm shocked.
Yeah. No, and some people are shocked. I am the opposite. I'm like,
you're like, okay.
okay, I expect failure at some point. So I'm disappointed and I'm shocked that I failed, but I'm also expecting some failure at some point. I'm like, oh, okay, there goes that one, right? Because if you're a baseball player, success at hitting the baseball is batting 300.
Right.
So that's like you're almost like a third of the time you're hitting the baseball.
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10, right? So that's success. Failure.
That's success at a high level in that.
Yeah, exactly.
That can position you to go to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
For the best of the best.
So the disappointment is when you've batted 400, you batted 500 in high school, 400 in college, then you get to the pros and you can't get over 200.
Right.
So at some point, in my mind, I expect that every level I'm going to be challenged. So I know that I'm going to hit some point of failure. It's not that I'm going to get a base hit every time, because then you're in fairyland.
So
does that make sense?
Some of your failures.
I was just going to ask you.
Yeah.
Lisa's right on point.
So,
I was going to ask you. So share a failure, and it doesn't have to be the most dramatic failure, or it can be. Share one of the failures that you've experienced from a young person all the way up to today, even today,
Right.
where you decided with that failure what you were going to do with that. Was that going to affect you negatively? Hold you down or keep you down, or be the challenge or the obstacle? We're going to get into that a little bit later. Share a failure of yours, and then what happened with you and what you did with it.
So I can go all the way back to like the 4th grade. 4th grade, my mom entered me into the National Spelling Bee, and I did well. I went to state, I went regional, and then I went national, and I felt like I know it all. Then you become a know-it-all, right? Oh, you don't have to study. Yeah, all right, whatever, Mom. So to me, it was once I got to that level, all the kids were smart, right? So by not really preparing myself and thinking, because everything was easy.
You were preparing yourself, just at a different level.
Right.
You were preparing yourself.
Right.
That's not true.
Right.
Especially with the parents that you had. But you were not preparing yourself for that elite level because you had not experienced that level.
Exactly. I've never experienced that. So what it taught me was prepare no matter what. Because once I got
at
to
the highest level.
yes, because every level becomes more challenging.
Correct.
Right?
As it should be. That's
Yeah.
the point. Because the reward at the highest levels are much higher than the rewards at the
Right.
lower level. So you think that's going to be easy?
Well, you do. I mean,
No, you want it to be.
yeah, I want it to be easy.
But
So
it's not
I get into the nationals, and it's so funny because I get there and I'm like, oh man, I got this, and I never even thought about I need to study this or study that. And then when I lost and was eliminated from the competition, it felt devastating. And then later on, my father was like, "But you went to the nationals. You went to this level. You should be proud of the level that you achieved."
And you said what?
And I said, I wanted to win.
And he said,
You did win. So he was balancing out the fact that
the full circle.
the full circle. The lesson I learned in that though was every time you go to a different level, whether it's in business or life, you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare yourself in a way where your failure is a bump up, not a bump down. It doesn't put you into depression, it puts you into motivation.
I hear what you're saying. Here's what I said. I appreciate it as a good story. My thought to that is this, is that failure in life, in my opinion, is inevitable.
Yeah, it's gonna happen, yeah. I agree. But that's why I said people should expect it, right?
Failure,
It's
well,
gonna happen.
you can say that, Chanel. You can say that people can expect it, and that's not an unfair statement. I do not expect failure.
Right.
I don't. I'm not hardwired that way. I never have been. No matter what whether it's a girl, or it's a job,
Right.
or it's a position, or it's a creative development. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Speaking,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. When I decide on a focus on something, I do not think of failure. Do I fail? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think failure is inevitable.
Right.
What you do about it is choice.
Yeah.
So I think the power is not in failure. I think the real power is what are you going to do about it
Right.
when it comes about.
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree?
No, I agree.
A lot of us put a lot of energy in the failing part of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's all perspective of what failure is.
That's my point.
Right.
And let's say this: no matter what the perspective of failure, from the most modest means or levels or measures of failure to the highest, where there's death involved or whatever, at the highest level, it doesn't matter to me whether it's the modest level or the highest level, because I like to say things are not as they are, but as you are.
Right.
So depending on where you're at when these failures hit, a modest level of failure could have someone commit suicide.
Right.
You go, that was just it was small to you, but it was big to him at the time.
Yep.
So
Big
I think
deal.
the failure perspective is relative.
And let me tell you what I think is what you're saying too is like, you don't expect failure.
I do not.
I don't expect failure either. As a matter of fact, the other thing is you can't. Not only do you not expect it, but you don't even have a fear of failure.
I do not.
Right?
And so
that's what the key is to me. Is like, don't have a fear. Don't be
what's
afraid
the point?
to fail.
Am I afraid to fail? No.
Right.
But you'll be good at this. What do you think when failure comes on my scene? Mm-hmm. You tell me, what do you think I do when it's a noted document? Okay, that didn't work. That failed. Mm-hmm. What do you think I do?
You're going back to the drawing board, maybe, and analyzing it, saying what happened.
I don't quit.
No, not at all. and you know what's funny is we talked about my playing semi-pro football.
Right.
Right. The greatest thing that you have to have as a defensive back is you're covering a wide receiver. You're covering a Tony Gladney. He's taller than me, bigger than me, stronger than me, right?
And just as fast, if not faster.
Just as fast, right? Or if not faster. So if he scores a touchdown on me, at that moment, I feel like I failed. I feel like, oh my God, I let him score a touchdown. But now, quickly, I have to have a short memory, because I'm going back to guard him on the next couple of plays, and then I have to succeed at stopping him again. So that fear, you gotta quickly shift from I failed at stopping this guy from scoring a touchdown to I got to get back on it, and I got to make sure what happened. Did I go the wrong way? Did I do my feet wrong? Did I jump? Did I not time my jump?
Right.
All of those things have to register quickly, because I got to get back to defending this guy.
I totally agree. So I'll go on the field with you with Tony Gladney, and I'm on the defense, and he's the superstar that he was. Mm-hmm. Tony Gladney scores on me. That's the last score he's going to get.
That's it. That's the attitude.
No. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I don't care what I got to do. That ain't going to happen again.
Right.
This game.
Right. Right. You got one.
Something.
Right.
So to your point, John, something's got to notch up within you. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, and you're saying something else that I want to say and pony in on with you, is that when failure does hit, there's a reason for failure.
Right.
And typically, there are jewels inside of failure. I reach in for the jewels. I want those lessons. I want to. They say whenever you lose in life, don't lose the lesson. I want the lesson. I throw everything else away. That lesson is what resonates with me, and it becomes part of the ingredient to the next level.
Yes.
Leveling up.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
So for me, I know. So for me, and I think those of you that are listening and watching this, you will have failure for the whole rest of your life.
Yes.
And there's some failure that's almost all of this is outside of your control. I believe it's part of the design. I was watching a piece last night. Poor Lisa. I just told her the story on Barbara Eden. Barbara Eden from My Dream of Jeannie, and who when most of the time we all have a false sense of perception of celebrity and fame. Celebrity and fame is not what people think it is.
Right. No.
It's just they're just in the spotlight now. Almost everything they do is
Fishbowl.
documented. Yeah, documented and recorded. But they're still people.
Yeah.
Well, Barbara Eden, who you think is this gorgeous lady and beautiful and intelligent and great actress and sensational program.
Long-term actress,
She has dealt with some failure in her life. Her child, she learned when he was in his 20s that he had been on drugs since he was 9.
Wow.
And then when he got to his 30s, he had a turnaround. He was on the comeback, and he had this woman that he was in love with. They were about ready to get married. And what ends up happening, he goes to the store, decides to take a hit of heroin. He had been off for years and had a heart attack and died.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Now, that felt like failure to her. What could she do about that? Those were his choices. Oftentimes, when we see people like a Michael Jordan or Tony Gladney or Barbara Eden or any of these names that we name, when people see names that are famous or celebrities, we think success.
Right, yeah.
Those people have just as many failures as we do.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I think that's important to say. So let me read this.
Talk about some of your failures in business, and how you overcame it.
So for me, failures in life or failures in business?
Business.
Professional failures. When I think about failing professionally, again, it just comes as such a shock. And by the way, this is not cockiness or ego. This is confidence. And this is, I'm a big guy on process. I don't mind the hard work of putting it together, or pulling together, doing the work of the education or the reading or whatever. I like to consider myself as being a literary pharmacist.
Okay.
Because I love reading.
Okay.
I don't mind that. I like doing that part of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a reading nerd, huh? Reading is Jessimental. Not fundamental.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Jessimental. I'm gonna have to use that one. Yeah, reading is leaders are readers.
Right.
And so I don't mind putting that. And so I think doing the work, putting it together, and then putting that on stage. I'm ready for that.
Okay.
But when there is a failure, I'm really surprised by it. But I quickly I like to live by the concept of I'm either up or getting up. We all get knocked down, but don't stay down.
Right.
So a failure for me that I could document was failing to go to the highest levels of hospitality. I felt that I had the ability to be at the highest level of hospitality, running a property or facility or multiple. When I didn't get there, I said to myself, what is the lesson? You know what the lesson was for me in not getting to the highest levels? I got to, my highest level was executive director, which is similar to yours. You know what the lesson for me was for not getting there? It wasn't for me.
Right.
That wasn't part of my path. I could still be in hospitality, aspiring to climb those levels. And what I learned is, with what my dedication is, and my care to my properties that I work for, and the leaders and the people that I serve, and the people below me, and the people that I'm serving, if this is not enough, then clearly I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah, it's funny because you had that. It's funny because we were in that same path, right? But when the opportunity came for general manager and managing a property and all of that, yes, there was something that came over me that said, "Do I want that?" Right? And you were a little bit different.
I wanted it.
You knew what you were going into.
Yes.
So when I left the military and was recruited into gaming and hospitality, I didn't even know what it was.
Right. Yeah. No. I knew. I'd been around it my whole life.
I had no idea that there was this back office, elevator off to the side that took you upstairs. I had no idea. So maybe one of the biggest challenges that I had was most of the time, military job, our job was new. Remember I told you it was like video games and stuff. And I had no expectations of elevating in that space. So failure most of the time for me was a lesson. Like, oh, why did I not do that right? What? And it was more like, okay, I failed at this, but I didn't really fail at it. It's kind of weird to say that because I got to that point and I made a decision. As you said, I made a decision to say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be general manager or whatever it is. I want to do this now. Or God directed me to do this now. Right. So it was a little bit different. Like I didn't have any aspirations.
There was some crossovers. Yeah. My aspirations were huge because I really believe that with my education, character, delivery, and care, who couldn't run a successful property like that?
Sure.
I thought that was enough, but even if that was enough, what I learned the hard way, my failure was that I did not get to the levels I believe I was capable of. But my win was, it was time for me to discover where to best apply my best gifts and talents. Because this clearly, I can aim them back at that resource, but I can't come up through the channels of that resource.
Now, how does that help you today? How does that help you as a business owner, as a
I tell you how it helps me today.
entrepreneur? How does it help you?
Because all the journeyman stuff, all the hard work, all the different jobs, all the different elevations, all the over expectations and the high demands that were expected of me at that time, when I'm serving people now, I understand and know those expectations that others are placing on you because I was there. I've done it.
Yeah, there's a jewel to being in hospitality.
Yeah, it's
business,
huge.
right?
It was a huge gift.
Because your focus is on the people.
Correct.
Right.
Well said.
And I had a a conversation on my way over here. Do you focus on numbers, or do you focus on people, or do you focus on both? I would say that if you focus on the people and their expectations and giving them what they need, want, and desire, then you have been successful, and the money will come.
The
from
numbers
that.
will come. I agree.
Numbers will come from.
I
that.
agree.
So
I think if
interesting.
you focus only on the number or the numbers as a priority and not the people, I think ultimately you'll lose the people. I think if you focus on the
Agreed.
people and their elevation and the development and their bandwidth and their autonomy and them bringing their very best, ultimately you'll find a way to pull it all together.
Yeah.
So I totally agree.
And then even talking about the thing with like Barbara Eden, as parents, we are always evaluating ourselves.
Oh,
right?
completely.
And so, sometimes you see your kids make choices. My
Sure.
kids made choices, and many times they often make choices that I have made before. So wisdom comes in like, son, I know, you know what? If you go in that cave, the bear's gonna bite you. Right?
Right.
But don't ask me how big the bear is or how big the teeth is. Don't go in there.
Right.
Because whether it's a cub or a big bear, it's
Right.
going to eat you up.
Right.
So understand that I'm giving you wisdom and nuggets from stuff that I've done before.
But some people have to learn the hard
But
way.
they have to learn the hard way.
Not all of them.
Right?
Some.
Because they're hard-headed just like that.
Some.
Right?
Some are.
So sometimes as a parent, you say, what could I have done different to help my child stay away from this situation? And most often, probably not much.
Not much, almost nothing, because it's their way, their choice, and that's everyone learns differently. That may be they might have to learn it the hard way to get it.
Yeah.
They may not get it if they don't learn it the hard way.
But you will evaluate yourself as a parent.
I agree.
And say, man, I could have done this better, or did I fail?
Right.
What I did is, after my kids were grown, I got on my knees. I said, Lord, did I do everything possible in my abilities to help my children?
Well,
and the Lord said, now they're in my hands.
well,
Right.
that's I like that point that you're reminding me of 2 points. The first point I want to make is I'm going to go back to the high school days. And growing up in a small town, Hawthorne, Nevada, obviously as you well know, there wasn't a lot of things to do. We really had two optimal choices.
Or the stoplight and the Johnny Pump. Oh, no.
Close. No, the stoplight wasn't a choice. You had to honor that, or people got hurt. but that's close. Yeah.
I just got to phone my phone.
But yeah, no, you're right. There was that one stoplight. So it was either drugs or athletics.
Right.
And my brother was a superstar athlete, and I was a decent athlete, but he was a great athlete. There was big gap, major gap between the two of us. But I remember thinking I should have been like Michael Jordan. I thought I should have been on the varsity before I made it.
Yeah.
My brother made the varsity as a freshman, varsity basketball. He made the varsity on all sports as a freshman. But so in basketball, I didn't make the varsity until I was a senior.
Okay.
I don't agree with that. I thought I know I was better than that.
Right.
But so I make the team. Now I don't make the starting five. If I'm not a starting five, I know I should be the sixth man. In the beginning of the season, the first 2 games of the season, my senior year, I'm the sixth man. We get home from Boulder City, Nevada, playing Boulder City, a road game. We get home, I never see the light of game again. I become what we call the 2-minute man. I only get to play in the last 2 minutes when the game's over.
Right.
Why? What changed? So I want to quit the basketball team. Why do you think I didn't quit?
I think it's more of you're going to prove that you belong, or you're going to prove to somebody that your abilities can help the team.
I started out with that belief. That my belief was I'm going to prove to that Coach Winters, how wrong he was. And once I started that on the very first day, I said I'm not going to prove to him how wrong he is, because he doesn't matter. This is his choice to bench me when I don't deserve to be benched. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to prove to myself I deserve to be here.
Right.
So what do you think I did to do that? You just take a guess.
I think you just you went harder in practice.
I did.
Yeah,
You're so smart.
Right, knock some
You-
folks out.
Dude, you're so smart. You're so smart.
I would do that.
That's exactly what I did. I
Right.
said, I am going to punish
Yeah.
his so-called starting five.
Yeah.
And I would wear my game shoes in practice. I didn't wear my practice shoes.
Right.
Because I knew he wasn't going to let me play in the game, so I'm going to play practice
This
like
is
it's
your
the game.
Right. Right.
I'm 16 years old making these
Yeah.
thoughts up that I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And I would punish his starting five so bad. You know what he would do? Every now and then he'd get ticked off at whoever I was on, and he would tell us because you had the black and gold. The gold was the starting five. The black
Right.
was the scrubs.
Yeah.
He would say, "Just turn your jersey over." So I'd turn over, so I had to show gold. He'd turn someone else to go to the black side. So he was kicking them off the starting five, and I was now on the starting five in practice. He would repeatedly do this because I would punish and shut down.
Right.
You were not going to score on me.
Right. Right.
You're not. In fact, I'm not going to let you get the ball.
Yeah.
I would guard them so tight they couldn't even get the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
That was your motivation.
That was my motivation.
Good stuff.
So what do you think he did game time? Do you think he played me?
Probably not.
No.
Because you were helping his team get ready for the game.
So that entire senior season,
Yeah.
I decided that practice was game time
That was your
for
game.
me.
Yep.
Because that's when I'm going to get to play.
That was very intuitive for a 16-year-old. That was good stuff.
I'm shutting your. I don't care who he had me guard. He had me guarding people 6'6",
Yep.
and I was 6'1". I don't care his fastest, his strongest, muscle. Whoever he had me guarding, I shut
But
their
you know
show
what that did
down.
though is though it was actually adding value to the team because now the team was prepared for an animal like you.
I didn't know that,
Oh, yeah,
man.
yeah.
All I knew was, oh, you're not gonna let me play?
Right.
I'm gonna play right here.
Yeah.
I'm not. You're not gonna make me quit.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to quit.
Right.
So that's what failure does
Yeah.
for me. Failure.
Makes you not want to quit. Yeah.
It makes me not only not want to quit. It makes me go
harder.
you want some more? Oh, okay. Wait, let me.
So that's you know what's funny is that's funny because even I give you that kind of Tony Gladney analogy. So what did I do next time?
You found a way.
Oh, I found a way. Right? So you're not gonna jump on me like I'm a little kid anymore. I'm gonna hold your belt. I might, I'm gonna find ways to stop you from getting.
And he knew.
Oh yeah, he knew.
Because you had this conversation years and years
That's right.
later. He said he hated for you to guard him.
Because it was real. Like, hey, you made this guy look like a little kid. He was upset about it.
But people need to
Yeah.
hear this
Yeah.
because people see you,
Yeah.
Shondell, and they think you've always been successful.
Right.
They see us,
That's a
they
fact,
listen,
yeah.
see me. They think, they've always. No, we haven't always been successful.
So
you know what? So what do you do about it when
Yeah.
you're not being
And
successful?
I tell you, now, I hate to fail. That's a fact.
Oh.
Right. So yesterday, my daughter celebrated her 37th birthday, and I put a little post on Facebook, and I said, I remember taking her to high school when she was a toddler. One of the things that I wasn't going to fail at was fatherhood. Even though I was a teenage father, I was like, I'm not going to fail. And the way that I said I'm not going to fail is I'm going to be involved and engaged. So in high school, I would take her in her little snowsuit. I mean, it could be cold out in New York.
Right.
Take her in a little snowsuit, ride those 3 subway trains.
Wow.
Go to high school. My teachers were cool because I was a great student. I was, 4.2. I was very into school.
Yeah, because you've been doing that since you were 3.
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of your conditioning.
Exactly. It's just simple, right? But she would sit there with a little coloring book. All of now the only issue was everybody else got distracted, right? Because she's cool. She's like, I'm coloring, I'm doing my thing. But all the other students are like, man, I want to play with the little kid. I want to play with the little baby. And so, but the thing that I was not going to let happen is that was going to be the thing that was going to sink me. Because a lot of guys ran away from it because they were afraid.
Of course.
And in my opinion,
They also didn't have the resources.
Right. They didn't have the resources. So,
mental resources, financial resources,
Right.
economic resources,
Right.
community resources.
Yeah, I had all that, and blessed to have all that. Because my father, the first thing he said was, "Oh no, we're gonna get ready for this. We're gonna make sure you got everything that you need." But it was just making sure that not only would I not fail at being a father, but I was gonna continue to be that student. So
Right.
taking her to school, and my teachers felt like, well, if that means that you have to bring her, because some days it was, she couldn't stay at the daycare because sniffles or whatever it
Right.
was. So we'd take her and she'd sit there. But the biggest thing that I learned from that was don't allow anything anything to get in the way of you becoming a success. And that's probably what people always see, is that I don't allow adversity to come in and just destroy or cut me down.
No.
And going from a single father with 4 kids to Arlene and 4 more, and that family of 10, the guy who was my transitional counselor from the military was saying, I thought you were going to fail.
Right.
I couldn't understand how you were going to handle this financially, emotionally, spiritually, all of that, because you're leaving a comfort zone of the military base housing,
A pattern, structure.
absolutely, a culture,
Yeah.
and now you're going out into the world. That's how he saw it. And I didn't see it that way. I just saw it as, this is a transition, and it's just like I gave you the analogy of going different levels in the spelling bee. This was just a different level. This was a different place.
Right, correct.
And what I learned is to prepare. So that was more than anything else. Is like from being in the 4th or 5th grade to then, everything came back to preparation.
But even with your preparation, Shondell, and I
Still
believe
gonna
you,
fail.
but even with preparation and failure,
Yeah.
you know the next level is adjustment.
Right.
You prepped. I know you did, but it's even so. Just because you prepped, how do you know it's enough? Well, you don't know until you either succeed or fail. When you fail, even though you prepped, now you said it earlier. Go back to the drawing board. Now you got to go back and tweak and adjust. So when you meet with failure, and those people that are out there listening and watching this, when you meet with failure and it's something that's important, if it's important, you need to get back on the horse and ride again. But you need to figure out what adjustments needs to be. You need to adjust. What happens a lot of times when we all fail, a lot of us don't adjust. We take the failure.
Right.
We live with the failure.
Right.
You and I are not doing that.
And I like what you said. You went into beast mode.
Oh,
I went into beast mode.
I'm telling you.
I went into beast
I'm
mode.
telling you. I may not be as talented. Let's assume I'm not as talented as his so-called starting five.
Right.
I don't care about that.
I'm going to outwork them.
I outwork them.
And you know what? That's what I honestly, Jess, I think that's what makes you a success in business. What makes you a success in business is that you outwork. I say it all the time. You may be smarter than me. You may jump higher than me. You may be faster than me.
But you're not going to outwork me.
It's not going to happen.
Right. And when you say outwork, you mean work smarter, efficiently, harder, with more alliances, whatever. When I made that decision as a 16-year-old on that varsity, I chose, like you said, no one's going to outwork me, but my intellect is what made me do that, not just my footwork.
Right.
It wasn't just footwork.
No.
That was a mental game.
It was a mental game, absolutely. It was the same thing, the transition because the guy, years later when I came back to teach Boots to Business, because I teach Boots to Business once a quarter at Nellis Air Force Base, I'm teaching them how to transition into entrepreneurship. But when I went back and this guy was retiring, he said, I listen to you on radio. I see you on TV. I'm following you now.
Right, because he's moved by it all.
Yeah, he's like.
Plus, he also knows the genesis.
He knows the genesis. And
Yeah.
he said, what I didn't understand, and maybe you could help me, is he said, what I didn't understand was, how did you go into an industry like gaming and hospitality and excel when you knew nothing about it? And I said, well, I had to, again, outwork people. So I had to go in 2 hours before my shift, start reading about slots and da-da-da. What are we doing? Why does this exist? What's going on? Why are people here gambling? I don't get, if you don't get it, learn it. Like, really
Adapt,
immerse yourself
adjust, connect.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's really what I do now, just like, as you know, I have clients like the RTC. I don't have to become a transportation expert, but I have to know enough.
Yes, of course. To be
help.
able to have that language.
Right.
Otherwise, you can't help them.
Right. So I can't sit in the room and they're talking about this, this, and
Funny
that.
you should say that. I love that because we say we cross over all over the place.
Yeah.
Lisa and I, when people ask us how we get paid, we say we get paid 3 ways. The first way we get paid is when we get a chance to connect with a client or a prospect, whether it's speaking from the stage or in our group coaching or online program, whatever. We get an opportunity to take someone that has a challenge, whether it's trying to go from bad to good, from off the grid to on the grid, or good to great, or great and sustainable, whatever.
Yeah.
They allow us. We get the opportunity to help them with that progress and process, and to see that evolve and see that grow, that's the highest payment we can get.
Right.
The second form of payment we get is when we come into, like you just said it, when we meet a doctor, an attorney, a psychologist, a therapist, whatever, a field that is not in our wheelhouse, we got to go and gain some intelligence and language and learn and read and some case studies and so forth. We got to get up to speed language-wise to be able to have a conversation. So when they talk to us, we know what they're saying, so that we can help guide.
So you're not lost.
That's the second way we get paid. The third way we get paid would be what we call a fee arrangement, typically direct deposit.
Right.
And the priorities for us is that first, helping other people grow and evolve.
Yep.
Second, learning. We get paid to learn. We have to go learn to be able to speak their language. And third, we get the dollars to keep being able to do this.
Yeah.
That's the way we look at it, just like you did.
Right.
So you what you said about your baby girl growing up, it reminds me of, as I switch from that to business, as Lisa asked us to talk about business as well. We've said this before, but we created a brand new program called the Breakthrough Success Plan. Between Lisa Farrell, Lisa Olshafer, our partner, and myself, up to now we've got going into 2,500 hours of designing this plan. And this plan was designed from 43,000 coaching hours of seeing what people typically have challenges with and putting together a 9-module, 9-week course that hits every one of those, starting with self.
Right.
And we didn't guess.
Yeah.
We know for a fact, because this is stuff that we've used to help other people succeed, and so we know it's a winning program.
Yep.
We're close to we're probably close to $17,000, $18,000 of investment in this program. How many programs do you think we sold so far?
I mean,
Guess.
5.
0.
I was gonna say 0, but I didn't want to bring you down.
0. Shondell.
It's watch party. Yeah.
Shondell, do you think that's failure right out of the gates?
Nah, you know what? I
0.
This is what I say.
But Shondell, to 2,500 hours.
Right.
$18,000.
You know, I'll tell you this. Here's what I look at. Right.
You're gonna buy the first program.
Absolutely.
No kidding.
So here, but here's what you said that caught me and sparked me, because I go back to our next level class. We did like an impromptu. You and I, we sat down.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
And I recently met with one of those students, and they said what was so powerful was the way you guys inspired me to, on one of those days when I was down.
Wow.
And so the correlation is you inspire somebody. Somebody is going to walk away with something. And sometimes, and we always do want business to equate to a monetary value.
Right.
But sometimes it's going to be bigger than that dollar. And then later on, that dollar comes back full circle.
Absolutely.
If it makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so failure, again, teaches us a lesson. Like, because I feel the same way. Like, well, man, we're doing this webinar and we only got 3 people here. But one out of those 3 might be like, oh my God,
right,
and just take off.
So what are you saying to us about this course that we all 3 believe so much in, have such an investment in, and we're still investing in it, and we're still building other avenues of ways to reach people and get this out to the right people that can use it. What do you say to us about failure with such investment in such a product that we believe in?
So I'd say that it all comes with timing, like anything.
Yes.
It's always going to come with timing. And I remember the story, I watched an interview with Tyler Perry when he said for about 5 to 7 years, he was talking to the same audience over and over and over and over again. And somebody said, well, why are you still doing this? And he said, one day, this audience will become disciples of what we do. And so you'll build an audience, and then they become a disciple, and then it starts to grow, and then it starts to grow. And you know where it is today. But he said, at that point in time, everybody else kept saying, you're failing.
Right.
You're failing.
Right.
He kept saying, no, I'm not failing. I am learning lessons. Because here's the thing. What if that first one... He's a good analogy, because
he put a lot of money into that very first one that he did. He borrowed money. He used everything he had. He leveraged. He thought it was going to be a big failure. He rented out the theater. and almost nobody came.
Right.
And you went,
Exactly.
oh my God.
Right.
That's the same story I'm saying
Yeah.
about the breakthrough success.
Yeah.
But look at Tyler Perry today.
Look at him today. Right.
You know why? Because he didn't give up. He didn't quit.
give up,
And
right.
guess what else? Oftentimes, I learned this too. The obstacle's the way.
And
The obstacle's the
yeah,
way.
yeah.
And there's a book called The Obstacle's the Way as
Oh, yeah.
well.
Well, I didn't see that.
Ryan
Yeah.
Hardaway.
And you know what's funny about it, Jess, is that whole thing is that those people who are with him, who were with him, the Browns,
Right.
you know, all those different folks who are now elevating their careers,
Right.
and the ones he's resurrecting, like
Right.
the Cicely Tysons, and think about all those things that's going on with that. That's so cool.
I think that. So what are the ingredients to the Tyler Perry situation and to the Breakthrough Success Plan that's launched and ready to go and ready to be sold? What are the key ingredients to keep the three principles, Lisa Olshafer, Lisa Farrell, and Jesse Farrell, on point?
Yeah.
Because we believe in this.
Well, it goes back to your analogy or your experience of not making the starting team. You go in and you keep perfecting it, because maybe the first time when Tyler Perry did this show, it would not have been in the place where 5 to 7 years where he made all these different changes, adjustments, just like you guys are doing.
Right.
You're gonna make adjustments,
That's
and
right.
changes,
That's
and
right.
fix, and you're gonna go in beast mode, and you're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna get this to the people because we know they need it. We know it's gonna help them. We know, and if once it gets to the point where they realize how valuable and how much they need it,
Rocket.
it's gonna take off.
Rocket.
I mean, yeah, we run into that all the time. Like, we want to give, we want to inspire, we want to help, but then people don't realize, or they don't value the help that we're giving them.
So people listening to this right now, what nuggets can they be taken from this dialogue?
Well,
so it's not just conversation.
Sure, it's those P's, right? Patience,
Yep.
perseverance,
Yep.
right? What's the other one? There's two more. Progress, right? Progress, right? And then,
You know what I think the number one thing, I agree with you. You know what I think the number one thing that predicates all of that?
what?
Starts with an A.
Attitude. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you gotta have
Your
that
attitude going in,
You gotta go at it.
your attitude in the middle,
Right.
your attitude on the other side.
Right.
Going in, Lisa
Right.
and I, the Lisa Olshafer, Lisa Farrell, Jesse Farrell, we had a great, excited attitude about it. We got into it was heavy
Yep.
for all of us
Yep.
at different levels at different times. We endured, we got that figured out. On the back end,
Yep.
it's like, okay, now what?
Yep.
Here's the difference. The attitude that we know, we believe and know we have a wonderful product built off of a solid foundation that has served countless others before. So we know it can serve.
Right.
Having the attitude of we will figure it out.
Passion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Having that passion, having that purpose,
Yeah.
and then having all that connect. And to your
Yeah.
point, stay with it, because it's not up to us to choose the time.
Right.
We want it now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
now is not the time, or it would be happening.
Yeah.
So we can't give up on it. We have to keep. It's called perseverance.
Yeah. Perseverance.
That's another one of the P's.
I look for
Perseverance.
that, yeah.
Perseverance, because
Yeah.
we did. Lisa and I are doing a study called The One Thing, and we looked at Fred Astaire, we looked at Michael Jackson,
Interesting.
we looked at
John B.
John B.
Wow.
We looked at Walt Disney. We looked at, so far we got like 31 of these, and we're looking for the common denominator from obscurity to prosperity. The one common denominator is perseverance.
Yes. It is.
And think about it. Think about the Michael Jacksons of the world. Do you think he wasn't tested by our society
Oh, yeah.
after he was successful?
Sure. Yeah.
Because when you get to this great level of success, a lot of people want to tear that down.
Right. And here's what I look at, like, when you say, like, Michael Jackson or even Janet, right? Janet is now doing a big show
Right.
in Vegas.
We
here.
just saw her a couple
Right.
weeks ago.
Think about this. There were other families who came the same time as the Jacksons. You know, the
Osmonds.
Silvers.
Yep.
Remember the Silvers?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even long after the DeBarge family.
Yeah. DeBarge, yeah.
Right? The
Yep.
Osmonds.
Yep.
Think about the who was the other one? The
Sly and the Family Stones.
yeah, just all these family groups,
Yeah.
right? And then you look at the Jacksons, and
Right.
you look at what they were able to accomplish for decades, like
Right.
and I say this all the time, like Michael Jackson was a superstar in every decade of his life, which is amazing.
Yeah, 5
right?
decades, sure.
Nobody else, I think, even achieves that. Like not
Right,
being
it's a
on
big deal.
superstar level.
Big deal.
Maybe being in business or being, but on a level like pop, hip hop. He just kept elevating.
Sure.
All the time. And so
Because he had perseverance
He had
too. And you know what?
perseverance.
He had another thing. I think he was also a perfectionist. It was never good enough.
it was never good enough. He always felt like he failed.
Yeah.
And it was all about, and that's what I think ultimately put the pressure on him and killed him.
I don't disagree. I'm glad you said that, but you know what?
Unfortunately, but
I don't think that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I do think that we ought to sit back at different
Mm-hmm.
periods of our lives and appreciate and have gratitude for what we've gained and built and so forth.
Yeah.
I think to be constantly growing.
I agree. You gotta sit back and smell the roses, man.
Why are you doing
Yeah.
this in the first place?
Right,
The whole point
right.
of it is so you can live a decent life or a
Yeah.
great life or whatever. So I do think we ought to have stop gaps along the way where you take a whole day and just appreciate what you like. For instance, Lisa and I are gonna celebrate that Lisa Olshafer, Jesse Farrell, and Lisa Farrell started this very difficult project while we still have our day jobs.
Great idea.
And we finished it.
Yeah.
We're gonna celebrate the fact that it's in the can.
I love it.
All day.
You guys giving me a nugget. That's what we should do.
Celebrate that.
Absolutely.
Don't be pissed off that you haven't sold one.
Absolutely.
It's if it were easy, Shondell, everybody would be doing it.
If you,
You know
just
why?
turn on the spigot and the water comes
You know
out,
why
right?
people aren't doing? You know why people aren't designing breakthrough success plans?
Right.
It's been brutal.
It's been brutal.
But
yeah.
you know what? It's our life.
Yeah.
It's empirical data. It's real stuff. This stuff works. It's elevated others.
Yeah.
It will elevate more.
Right.
But it won't elevate sitting on the shelf.
Nope.
And it won't get off the shelf
and-
unless we do something.
And it will never happen if you don't continue on that journey, right?
Exactly.
We wouldn't be talking about Tyler Perry today if after 5 or 6 shows he's
Well
like,
said.
I'm done.
I'm
I
toast.
can't do this. This sucks. I'm I'm sleeping in my car. I'm begging my grandma for money. If he never went through that, and then here's the interesting thing: I met a lady when I went in business who couldn't stand Tyler Perry. Why? Because at that time he couldn't pay anybody.
Right.
So
right.
she thought it was if that's
He wouldn't
his
pay.
dream,
He wouldn't pay anybody. It
right?
wasn't
She
wouldn't.
thought
It's
it
couldn't.
wouldn't. Right. The other characters who stuck it out with him are now rising, with
Reaping the
him,
benefits.
Reaping the benefits. But that's another lesson for people. If you're on a team and you see some impact and influence and opportunity, I asked my staff one day. I said, "Are you here for a job or are you here for an opportunity?"
Right.
They all fortunately answered whether they really meant it or not. But they need to be here for opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right? Because if you're here for a job, you're checking in and checking out, which is not great for small business.
I love what you're saying with that. So check this
Yeah.
out. So the program that we've created, the Breakthrough Success Plan, what do you think the real big push behind that? Why do you think we are so passionate about getting that to the market and getting that product out there?
Because I
Getting it
think
sold?
just based on reading and seeing what you guys did in social and everything, it's everybody gets to a point where they don't get over that hump and they need something to get them to that next level. That's why I said when you spoke at Next Level, Jess, you inspired some people who I probably been talking to for 7-8 weeks.
In one session.
In one session,
Wow.
they heard your story and they said, okay, that moment gave me a breakthrough.
I'm flipping.
I'm flipping.
Wow.
I've been listening to Shondell and these other speakers, but now Jesse has basically kicked the ball, and now I'm moving in that direction.
And now they can hear you better too.
Exactly. Right. There you go. It opens that mind.
So you got
Yeah.
to determine So the point of this, Shondell, and those of you that are listening or watching this, you've got to determine your why, and your why has to serve someone beyond yourself.
Yes. That's big
When,
in you.
when this Breakthrough Success Plan goes ballistic and selling millions,
Yeah.
will it serve us? Yes. But it will be serving countless people we
Right.
may never meet or see.
Yeah.
And that is the point.
Yeah.
The point
So-
is, it's a bigger service level.
Yeah.
It's up-leveling.
Yeah, and you got to think about that, right? Because think about the Oprah Winfrey's, the Tyler Perry's, the Kirk Franklins, those folks. They inspire more people than the money they make.
Oh, complete. And now that's what it's about. That's
You know
what she's
I mean?
doing.
They inspire people. Like and those folks get so much out of it, like they are just on another cloud, on another level, and it helps. Like I think Richard Pryor said sometimes, like just making people laugh. When you walk out there and you make people laugh, it changes their whole attitude. It changes who
I
they
love
are.
what you just said. I
Right?
just love what you said. Thank you for bringing up Richard Pryor because he's a great one to bring up. Whenever Lisa and I hit the stage, no matter how much we've prepared, the number one thing that is in my concern that I want to happen across that whole audience at some point, we want to touch you.
Yeah,
We want to move you.
gotta touch them.
Not because it's ego driven, but because of what happens within you when you are touched. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Because if we can touch you, one thing in a whole program can change your whole world.
Yeah.
That one session with your students for a number of these people that are and these are the people that are telling you. What about the people that happen to that we don't even know because they're not even telling us?
Right.
So, let's revert back to Lisa put some time in pulling this together. So I want to read this and share some thoughts. She says, society doesn't reward defeat, and you won't find many failures documented in the history books. So she listed the top 9 failures of all time. And we don't have to talk long about it, but I want to put that in the program because I think, because we talk about the program being why failure is good for success. Those I'm going to give you 8 of the 9. Thomas Edison, Elvis Presley, Michael Jordan, Vincent Van Gogh, Stephen King, Fred Astaire, Abraham Lincoln, J.K. Rowling. These are prominent names,
Wow.
and all of them amassed massive failures before they became these names of recognition that people know. What are your thoughts about that before I go to the next point that Lisa shared?
It's interesting because I love the story about Edison, and I love the story how Edison interacted with Lewis Latimer and they got the filament and all these things. Like it's like sometimes I say sometimes you're failing in secrecy because if you put it out in public, then people won't ever buy into it. That going back to what I said with Tyler Perry,
Right.
Probably when he got to the 7th year, the product was just so amazing. Now people can touch it.
Right.
But if you see the stumbling of lines, or
Right.
you see people forgetting their lines or singing off key, it might not inspire you
Right.
or do the touching that you're talking about.
Right.
But by them doing it over and over, and him doing it over and over and over and over again, like he says here, it wasn't a failure 1,000 times. It was an invention with 1,000 steps.
Right.
That's a different perspective.
Correct.
Is I'm perfecting this.
And I'm willing to do the work.
And I'm willing to do the work. And the perfection is not about you. The perfection is about who's going to receive it.
And how they're being served, exactly. Well said.
And I was always blown away, Jess, because, going to Broadway plays as a kid, and I told you, I always felt like I was like punished. It was a punishment. My mom was like, let's go to, everybody was playing stickball. I'm going to doggone Wiz. but going to the Wiz, I have an appreciation of Stephanie Mills and all these artists who can go on stage and if you've been to a live play, there's a different thing.
Whole different energy.
Than cut. We screwed up. Let's do it over.
No, whole different.
They
gotta nail it.
They
gotta
are
bring
on
it.
point, man.
Yeah.
They are like wow.
Lasered in.
Yeah, lasered in. Yeah, and so watching failure is not as exciting as watching perfection.
Right. Well said. Wow.
It's not
That's
as exciting.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Really good. And that leads me to Lisa's in the story that Lisa helped us put together says the exceptions to failure. The exceptions are those failures that become spring stones to later success, which is what you're talking about, that laser focus. Such is the case with Thomas Edison, as you just mentioned as well, whose most memorable invention was the light bulb, which purportedly took him, as you just said, 1,000 tries before he developed successful prototypes. So I'm not going to read that because you just did that one. I'm going to sneak down to, unlike Edison, many of us avoid the prospect of failure. People do avoid failure. You know why? Because they start out with doubt. Doubt crushes success.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So unlike Edison, many of us avoid the prospect of failure. In fact, we're so focused on not failing that we don't aim for success, settling instead for a life of mediocrity.
And that's what I was alluding to earlier, is that I don't really focus on not failing.
Right.
Because that does put you in a place where you're you're being too cautious. You're doing analysis by paralysis, right? If you guys sit back and go, you know what, let's wait until it's perfect to launch it, right? Nothing launched perfect, right? You know, I was telling Tiara and the team the other day, Facebook. Look at how many modifications Facebook made.
It took me 3 iPads when the iPad first came out to get the first one to work.
Right, exactly. So think about
they kept fixing and adjusting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we put more burden in not failing.
I agree. Or not wanting to fail. Correct.
And that actually slows you down.
Or stops you from even hitting success.
Stops you from hitting success.
Wow. Check this out. Failure is a powerful tool. Is as powerful a tool as any in reaching great success. Like you just said, failure and defeat are life's greatest teachers. But sadly, most people, and particularly conservative corporate cultures, don't want to go there. Like you just said.
Yeah.
That's what you just said.
Yeah.
Some employers are no longer shying away from failure. They're embracing it.
Yeah.
Many companies are deliberately seeking out those with track records reflecting both failure and success, believing that those who have been in the trenches, survived battle, and come out on the other side have, what's that word? Irreplaceable experience
and perseverance.
Wow.
So here's the lesson in that, right? The guy from Disney said he hires for attitude and he can train you for aptitude. What we made a mistake of a lot of times as employers and is looking at somebody's resume and saying they had to be perfect.
All their wins.
All their wins.
All that polished
you
stuff.
didn't want to hear about their losses. What we started to do with stations was ask that question.
It's a great question.
Tell me, what was your biggest challenge and how you overcame it?
I love it.
If you don't ask that question, then you're doing yourself a disservice and you're doing that person a disservice.
Plus, you can learn how they deal with failure. You can get in a sense of what more of the well-rounded of the person, because everyone fails.
And let's just face it, in my industry, nobody comes to us unless something's broken. Right?
Thank you. No, people don't come to us unless they're like completely on the other side and they can't figure it out. And then and that's case after case after case after case. Or they kind of know they want.
Yeah.
We get to serve people when they're at their most challenged perspectives.
That's right. That's
from
right.
From the stage, from the speaking, whether it's training or workshops or keynotes, definitely from the coaching.
Oh yeah.
We don't have any easy cases.
Well, just think about it, right? From a standpoint of branding, from a standpoint of helping people with their marketing, they have to first feel like they're failing before we come in and help them.
Otherwise, they think they don't need you.
Otherwise, they think they don't need you.
Right.
You know, even when we talk about the convention center, the convention center is going to be built no matter what. But if you want to include all of these small contractors, that's not in the wheelhouse of a construction firm. That's in the wheelhouse of somebody that does communication.
Right.
So that's how you fill that void.
Right.
So there has to be a problem for you to solve.
Thank you.
Right. So
Thank you.
That's why I think it's important that you guys continue on. You have the perseverance and you keep perfecting your model.
Correct.
So that people can get what they need.
Exactly, and they can have it accessible. And that online version was far more accessible than coaching sessions or flying across the country or whatever. So that's so huge. No, that's so huge. So here's what I'll say. What from this great session that we've had here on this podcast, what's the number one thing you want people to go out there to do about failure and success?
So I'll tell you this: don't live in failure, but celebrate your successes.
I like that.
So don't
even the little wins.
Right, even the little wins. Make sure you don't. It's even like that piece when I talked about my father.
Right.
Don't stay in the rear view mirror of failure.
Right.
Look at your windshield of success. Stay focused on the success. Take a peek in your rear view mirror or your side mirror at your failures, because that'll keep you in perspective.
I like that.
That'll keep you going forward. So think about it from that perspective.
That's very good, Shondell. That's top shelf. I cannot go above that. That's top shelf. I would say do exactly what Shondell said, and surround yourself with quality people.
Absolutely.
Both the people in your inner life and your outer life, your work and
attitude.
Home. Absolutely.
Attitude means everything.
Absolutely.
I would rather have the Jess who was at practice being a beast than those 5 guys who were just starters.
I wonder. Ooh, I wonder
Yeah.
what those 5 starters are doing
Oh, yeah.
today.
Right.
Ooh, I wonder
Right.
if I don't want to roll anybody under the bus, but I bet
Roll
you
them under
they're.
the bus, man. Google.
I'll
LinkedIn,
bet you,
dude.
I'll bet you their
Hey,
lives.
what are you doing today, Mr. Starting Point Guard?
I'll bet you their lives are different.
Yeah.
I'll bet we don't live the same lives.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I took that lesson and that
Yeah.
attitude, and I've been embracing that
Yeah.
ever since. I've been
Oh, yeah.
polishing that up ever since.
Yeah.
I've not stepped backwards from, so that's very good.
Have you seen him in the NBA?
No,
Okay, there you go.
I didn't see. I didn't see most of them even in college.
Okay, there you go. So there's a start. There's a start.
That
to
is
the
a
research.
huge full circle you just brought us on that one. This is why Lisa put us together right here.
That's right.
This is the stuff she's talking
Hey,
about.
you in beast mode. I
No,
want to see
what was
that
that
dude.
Jessimo thing? What was that
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
What,
Oh no, that's just from learning, right?
Yeah.
Well, what is it?
Oh, we have to listen. We have to
gotta
listen to the
listen, we gotta
program
listen.
again.
It just
I
comes
got
off the cuff,
I
man.
didn't want to write it down. So okay, here we go. So where can people find you, Shondell?
You know, people can find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, either by Googling my name or going to somenewmarketing.com.
Okay, right on. They can find us out there at YouTube, Facebook, all those other places, and our website, justtalk.com. And then we've got, I want to say thanks for you for this conversation here.
Yeah.
This is a great conversation.
Yes, sir.
Powered by both Just Talk, Some New Marketing, and Lisa Farrell is the catalyst behind all of this.
Man.
And
The
we
glue.
say there's one way to lead people, and what is that?
It's how you make them feel.